Hey there, welcome back. I know this is a little late. I was going to do a favorite books of the year video. However, nothing's really changed since like my midway check-in. I think maybe one book got bumped or put onto that list. And then I'm like, okay, well, I gotta do the least favorite books of the year video. But I'm like, that's awful negative if I'm not really having anything new to add to the favorite video. So I'm kind of just combining the two, and yeah, we're just gonna do kind of like award categories. The first being obviously what leads me to buy most book, and that's going to be most beautiful cover. The winner of this category is quite honestly, without exception, Our Wives Under the Sea. Do you see how beautiful this edition is? I can't buy this edition because I think it's like UK or something. I need to get it because it's gorgeous. And I didn't even like that book that much. It was okay. The premise was cool. It was examining the relationships or falling apart of a relationship, as one character, the wife, had been like stuck in a submarine underwater, and then the other wife was dealing with the repercussions and the trauma inflicted, I guess, depression or PSD. I don't know. There was something going on. She was traumatized from the event, and I kind of wanted to be down in the event, and we're not really there. We're just set in this uncomfortable atmosphere and left there as everyone is unsettled with no answers to the questions that I have. Other beautiful books, Liminal Zone, that was gorgeous. A couple of Junji Ito books are gorgeous. Weight of Blood, yeah, there are a couple very beautiful ones, but the Wives Under the Sea kind of just tops them all. I can't even think of other beautiful covers because that one is so gorgeous. My most read authors, no surprise, George R.R. Martin, just because I read the Song of Ice and Fire series this year. Stephen King, I was trying to do one of his a month to get through that, and I failed miserably. Akwaeke Emezde, Pets just got me reading her books, and I started You Make a Fool of Death with Your Beauty or something like that. It's a romance one, which is not my vibe, but it was that her as an author, and I'm just like, I need to read that. I'll get to it next year, or this year. It's 2023 when I'm recording this. And who else did I read? Jim Butcher. I restarted the Dresden Files again. I need to finish that in this year now. But yeah, no surprises for the authors. Oh, Oda. We're going to talk about manga on this video as well. Oda. I am reading One Piece. New love of my life. Oh my god, Oda. He has traumatized me completely. Most surprising. So books that I didn't expect to love as much as I did. Starting with Carrie. You know the plot of Carrie. I read it because I'm reading Stephen King books. I want to start in publication order. And it is probably my new favorite book of all time. Oh my god, I love these characters. It's an absolute tragedy. Knowing the plot and spoilers of this book takes away nothing. It's perfect. I reread Full Moon this year, and I was honestly shocked because that was my least favorite book in the Dresden Files, and I adored it on reread. Like one sitting. That book took me like 2 weeks or a week and a half or something like that to read the first time, and on reread, I flew through it. One sitting. Couldn't stop. I don't know what happened. Loved it. Fire and Blood. It's a history textbook of the Targaryen lineage. I did not expect to love that so much. It took me a little while to read it just because, but I did it in like 3 sittings. There was just a lot of time in between because I had other stuff going on. I sat down and read like the first third of the book, and then I sat down and read the rest of it. It was so quick. Oh my god, I binged it. I love Fire and Blood so very much. I'm going to have a video on that one soon dedicated just to that book and all the parts I love, the Targaryens, the kings that I love, the questions that I need answered in the TV show, because it was so good. Editing Jessica here, because I didn't mention Chainsaw Man. I did say we were talking about manga. So, Chainsaw Man, did not expect to love that as much as I did. That consumed me entirely. I have not stopped that. I just kind of don't have much time right now, but I will be continuing Chainsaw Man very soon. Best plot twist. This is going to be Confessions, with nothing else. Maybe House Across the Lake, or we'll get to that one later, but Confessions. Okay, so many plot twists. This is a teacher whose young class prepubescent, I don't know, like 12, 13, something like that, little kids. She believes that they have killed her daughter and she is out to get revenge. I thought this would be like a torture situation, but it's not. It is manipulation, it is psychological warfare. It is a full of complete young narcissistic little psychopaths. And I talk about it in this video. I adored Confessions. I loved every plot twist. It was flawless. I love it so much. Counteracting that with most predictable. Now, don't get me wrong, predictable does not mean bad. We're going to start with Daisy Darker. I enjoyed this book very, very much in certain aspects of, I enjoyed the ending very much. The beginning of it, though, sucked. So, it sucks so bad. I hate at the beginning. I hated every character. This is, a girl is having a family reunion on this island, or not really an island, but the high tide comes out and cuts them off from the mainland, and then grandma gets killed, possibly murdered, possibly accidents, and then it's just like, hey, we're being killed off one by one, how about we try sticking together to stay alive? Only for them to make stupid decisions to break off and be like, I need to go off on my own, and then such and such dies. It's so stupid and predictable with so many flashbacks that drag down the pacing. The families are the worst people. I have worst characters. Flat cardboard characters that I despised. Every single one of them. Daisy herself isn't as bad, though. So much child abuse. Then the ending happens, and I adored the ending. I did. I really, really, really did. A lot of people are going to hate that ending because, oh my god, it's one of the most predictable endings that people use as a joke. Let's joke that this is going to be the ending because you know it can't be that bad because it's too obvious, and no one would actually do that. And then they do it, and I'm like, I loved it. It was so stupid. I loved it. What else do we have for predictable? Hide, this stupid book. They play hide and seek, and there's a reason that's not supposed to be a spectator sport. And the final one's going to be The Maid. This is more mystery. I enjoyed this one. Solid 3 stars, would read a sequel. You have a maid who is somewhat coded to be on the autism spectrum, but the author never committed to that definition. I don't think it's ever been outright stated that she has it, and a lot of people say it's stereotypical and not a good representation. A couple people that I've seen said that they felt it was accurate, so don't take any opinion I have for it. It was very straightforward, however, was also very endearing. So I enjoyed that one despite it being predictable. All right, most engaging, couldn't put down. Obviously Carrie, love of my life. Then Fire and Blood, obviously, everything Oda has ever written. Even if the beginning stuff in those early One Piece videos, it took me a while to get into it. By the second half of Alabasta, onward, and then Enies Lobby, and then the Marineford stuff, couldn't stop. Couldn't stop if you paid me to stop reading. I loved it so much. The House Across the Lake. I need to talk about that one. That is so polarizing. Riley Sagar is one of my favorite authors just because he takes a trope and he plays that trope out, and then there's this twist, and it's everything I want. It's completely my vibe. Woman is spying on her neighbor in a lake house across the lake, gets obsessed-ish with her life. Woman goes missing. Was it the unreliable narrator stalker, or was it like the husband or something else going on? And the twist, if you've seen that twist coming, I would be honestly shocked. It was completely, let's write a predictable, straightforward mystery thriller novel that you've read 1,000 times before, and then slap on a completely different ending / midway point thing, and just have it go completely off the rails. And if that is not my vibe, I don't know what is. I loved this book so, so much. A couple other ones I just couldn't put down. The Weight of Blood. I picked this up because it was a Carrie retelling, and it did not disappoint. There were a couple little moments where I started being like, this feels really YA, because it is a YA book. It's Carrie told from the point of view of race. And it felt a little heavy-handed in moments. The characters didn't feel as fleshed out and as developed and nuanced as the original Carrie book. But then by the end, I'm like, I take back every criticism. Oh my god, I love these characters. They're fleshed out. They have depth. I love this plot. The points that were a little bit on the soft, you had to do that because it's YA. Didn't care. Loved this book. Was obsessed. Read it in one sitting. I loved The Weight of Blood so much. Another one's going to be The Woman in the Library. Oh, again, couldn't stop. I listened to the audiobook, I turned it on, I pressed play, I didn't hit pause until it was finished. A group of characters hear a scream when they meet up in a library, a woman is found dead, and we know one of these characters is a murderer, and you're figuring out how they did it. It's a combination of almost locker room mystery kind of thing, and there are sections that I don't want to really talk about it because I don't know if it's in the synopsis, but there's these little interludes that kept me hooked so much, and I love the conversations that these little interludes had in reference to what was happening with the story. It was just so good. Other books are going to be Pet. I loved Pet. We're living in a world where all the monsters are supposedly gone, but they're still apparently one, and we drag a demony angel, scary looking thing out of a painting to hunt down a monster. And I can't tell you anything about it. It's just too good. Just go in, enjoy the wild ride. The writing is so direct, and it hurts, and it doesn't waste words. It tells you exactly how you need to feel, or how to feel-ish. I don't know how to describe it. It's like you take away all the nuance and just be completely direct with your writing, yet somehow it's still beautiful. There's no subtlety to the writing, really. It's just raw emotion is how I interpreted it, and I loved it so very much. I loved the writing style. It just worked. It shouldn't have worked for me, and it did. I loved it. I need to read everything by this author. Finally, is going to be So Happy For You, and I'll probably get into that one. I should get into that one a little bit later for a different category. So for the time being, I'll say I love this book, but it's not going to be for everyone. Most disturbing. Tender as the Flesh. Hello, yes, this one. Cannibalism is accepted in society. I have a video about trying out more graphic horror books, and then the other one, of course, is obviously going to be what's it called, The Girl Next Door. Sorry, name just left me. Yeah, that don't read it. It's beautiful. It's not. It is 5 stars. It is a 5-star read, and we are moving on. Don't read it. Best characters. This is going to be all of One Piece. Every single character ever mentioned in One Piece is the best character. But with the exception of One Piece, and the exception of Carrie, because God love Carrie. I love Carrie so much. I'll mention the violence, because I haven't talked about this one yet. It's not my favorite book of the year. It was a good time. It was a little too long, but the character work in it was absolutely fantastic. You have 3 generations of women in different types of abusive, controlling relationships, and then a virus infects the world, and it causes people to act out extreme violently, kill whoever their target of their anger is, and then you throw in pro wrestling, because why not? And I just adored this book. Most disappointing. All right, we're going with 9 Lives, Peter Swanson. Peter Swanson wrote my favorite thriller book ever, The Kind Worth Killing, which is getting a sequel this year, which means I need to reread The Kind Worth Killing, and I have been putting that off for the longest time because I don't want to be disappointed. It was one of the first thrillers I ever read. I refer to it as my Twisty Twist Twist book, and I love it so very much, and I don't want to ruin the nostalgia that I have for it. So he wrote this book, 9 Lives, and it is a bunch of strangers get a list in the mail with 9 names on it, including their own, and they're all being killed off one by one. It is predictable, and it is the most average 3-star read I have ever read. I normally don't try to give 3 stars. I either give a 2.5, meaning it was average, but I didn't really like it, or a 3.5, meaning it was average, but I enjoyed it. It was fine. This was the most average 3-star. I have nothing good to say about it. I have nothing bad to say about it. It just exists. And it was very upsetting to read a book by my absolute favorite thriller author and feel so meh about it. So that's just disappointing. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have Paul Tremblay's The Pallbearers Club. And I've been a little bit hit or miss, but I've always genuinely enjoyed Paul Tremblay's books for the most part. This was the biggest struggle to get through. I have an entire rant review on it. I'm not getting into it here. Oh my god, I hated that book. And the final one that I was so looking forward to, Every Heart a Doorway. I was so excited to read that book because I've heard such good things. And it was the most glorification of child abuse I've ever read in my life. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what this series is about. It's a very well-loved, popular. Skip this one, is my opinion, because the second book is golden. Loved the second book, and the first book spoils the second book. They're extremely short little novellas. And come back and read this first one some other time, because they can all be apparently read as a standalone. And I hated this book so much. Most polarizing book. A lot of people hated it. I loved it. The House Across the Lake. There is no other answer. Oh my god, it was so good. It was just completely my vibe. 100% my vibe. I've already talked about it. It's wonderful. Now, the one that this kind of plays into it, though, the one I'm most hesitant to recommend. So happy for you. I had the most fun reading this. It was so over the top, so crazy. And so many people are going to hate it. Like, it dives heavy into, like, feminism and politics. And this character is the most obnoxious, self-centered, can't see anything from anyone's point of view other than their own, thinks they're right, everyone else is wrong, everyone else is stupid for falling into like wedding culture and Instagram and just enjoying life, whatever makes them happy, because they're not like her, they're not vegan, they're not 100% down on everything that they feel that makes someone a feminist, even if they're wrong. Oh god, had to be satire. It had to be satire of all those topics and the wedding industry. And you're just in a world where getting married is the most important thing of life. And there are these dark rituals that you can do to make sure you have both a good marriage and a good wedding, and may or may not include killing some people. Oh, it was so fun, but so many people are going to hate it if they actually take it seriously. Like, this satire, have fun, just be in on the joke. So good. All right, I got 3 for the worst books I ever read this year. Whatever. Gwendy's Final Task, which I've talked about in that video. And this is just the most unnecessary book in a series, I've ever read. The first book, Gwendy's Button Box, was a solid 4.5, 5 stars. Like, it was good. It was a genuine good book with a good idea, and it just should have ended there. Second book was bad, but at least the first half of it was good, and then they just didn't know how to end it, so they gave a cop-out MacGuffin ending. The third book is the new definition of jumping the shark. There's jumping the shark, and then now the step above is writing Gwendy's Final Task. Like, give a character Alzheimer's and shoot them into outer space, because that is a good way to end the series. I am not being hyperbolic. That is what they choose to do in the series. She's out in space, and it's just like, I must complete this mission. The next is going to be, what's it called? Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I heard such good things about this book. It is a YA series, and I'm trying to see if the YA thriller horror-ish is kind of my vibe. This was not a good place for me to start because the characters are just cardboard cutouts making terrible decisions and monologuing their life story. I'm not going to tell you what the book's about. If you're interested in this book, you already know what it's about. And the last is going to be A Death in the Family, because, my god, I don't know if it's pro-cop or anti-cop, because they're terrible police officers, yet the author is trying to I don't know if it's the author or the characters or what, are trying to justify all their actions as if they were good decisions, even though it's clearly she's a terrible cop and a terrible human being. It's just the worst person I would ever want on a case, investigating a murder and judging a family, and I hated it so very much. Favorite books of the year, everything One Piece, just all of it. Specifically Marineford and the post-war arc, but and Water 7 and Ennis Lobby, and Alabasta, but just all of One Piece. Because when I reread it, all of it's going to be a favorite. Minus like one chapter in Thriller Bark. We're going to ignore that. Didn't exist. Didn't happen. And then I gotta say House Across the Lake. I know people aren't going to love that book, but I do. It's exactly my vibe. It is 100% what I love in a thriller. Stupid trope, done very well, very solid trope, and then make it go off the rails. I love it so much. Confessions. I loved Confessions. I love twisted psychopaths and narcissists. I love it. And the last one is Pets. I cannot get over that writing style. I just can't get over the writing style. It was so perfect. And Carrie, sorry, not last. Carrie. I loved Carrie. It's a tragedy. And the fact that I knew the entire plot going in and still fell in love with these characters and this story and how much it hurt when the ending happened, just a testament to how much I love that book. All right, that is all I got. This actually took a little longer than I thought it would, but I will talk to you later. Bye.